Hey everyone, Kyle here at 44 Sports Cards. Wanted to talk to you today about a trend I'm seeing online within the sports card community that want to talk about, and then I want to show you two cards. So let's start with the cards because that's the fun part. So in my card searches recently, I have been going over a few things that coming across things I'd just never seen before. And this one seemed really interesting to me. So this is a 1933 Goudey, I believe. And it is Indian chewing gums. So this is of the Ioway Tribe or nation, I guess, would depend on it. Says this is number 2. The number 2 card of that set. And it's the warrior of the Ioway Tribe, a shooting cedar, the tribe of 1,400 persons inhabiting the eastern bank of the Missouri River near what is now Leavenworth, Kansas. One of the earliest tribes to depart from primitive living and adopt farming. So what each one of these cards does, and it talks a little bit either about the tribe or the person on there. So there's one about Geronimo. There's one about, all sorts of tribes, Pocahontas. And it just seems like the nations from, whether you call them Indian or Native Americans, but all those nations combined have the history just really isn't there like I would like to see. And I find the history quite amazing. I think there's a lot of misrepresentation of what happened back then, and the truth though is there was a lot of war between those nations back then, and there was also just a lot we don't know. So I found these cards. This is the first one I got. I was able to get it fairly quickly and fast, and just had to go ahead and get it. And of course, you'll see I'm changing out everything from the shipping. But so really cool card there. And the second card is a card I got recently, and it is one of those cards that you get because you talk to, in my case, I talked to my dad and my uncle, and a name that keeps coming up over and over again. So I had to get his card. This isn't probably his most iconic card, but it's still a great card. And so this is the 1949 Bowman Pee Wee Reese. And, my dad and my uncle both have talked a lot about Pee Wee Reese, and, Pee Wee Herman just passed away. And so growing up in my generation, we talked about Pee Wee football and Pee Wee Herman, and my dad said when I showed him this card, he said, well, when I was growing up, Pee Wee was a name to be emulated, and when and so that was my dad saying that, and then I'm thinking, well, when I was growing up, Pee Wee was not a name to be emulated. We thought he was funny, but we didn't want to necessarily be him when we grew up. So it's just kind of funny how the name changes over time. But it is a beautiful card, and, just really interesting. So that's the Bowman. Okay, so I got 2 topics for you left. And two topics left. So let's go over both of these really quick. One, I am currently still doing an experiment for card fading. And so for those who get to this point in the video, first of all, thank you. And I just want to say that the experiment's not done, but I do want to stress something that I haven't really stressed yet for this experiment, because I've been waiting for final results. But I think I've seen enough now. If you have vintage cards and you're displaying them, they need to be displayed in a magnetic card holder. The fading that I am seeing from the experiment for especially cards from the 50s, 60s, and 70s is significant. And, I'm getting ready to send them back to the spectrometer for official measurements. But just visually, it's enough that I can feel confident in saying you need to have that extra protection. For the newer cards, especially the last couple of years, I'm much less worried about it. I'll know more when I get those results from the spectrometer. So if you listen this far in the video, please, 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 if you display cards from 50s, 60s, 70s, magnetic card holders, the cards are fading fast. And I'll have more of those results in several videos coming up. Then the next video on this that I will probably do is a series about the slowest man to ever play in the major leagues and is also a Hall of Famer. And so I'm curious, if you think you know who it is, leave a comment below. That will be kind of a fun experiment. Okay, so fellas, I'm seeing a trend. And it's a dangerous trend, and I don't think it's the trend that we think that we're seeing. So Dustin at Sports Card Stat recently did something that I believe is unparalleled. He has started a campaign for the Sports Card Hall of Fame. And immediately following, magically, John Mangini post a video for, see if I get my names right, Don, Field of Dreams. We'll use my sports board here as help if I need it. Immediately followed with Don, Field of Dreams, that he is the one who needs to get it. And this is where I think the plot starts to unfold, fellas. You see, Dustin said in there, he quotes the guy from Legends Never Die, Jake from Legends Never Die, where Jake says that he wants to ensure that the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame is protected. So you have to have a year of doing videos before you can vote. And Dustin shows that clip. Now, here's the interesting part. When John Mangini shows, and John is already in the Sports Card Hall of Fame, and when he shows that it should be Don, he says something interesting. He says, Don is the last misfit not to be in the YouTube Sports Cards Hall of Fame. And then I realized what's happening. It's a new secret cabal, and it must have been formed at the National. And to my surprise, people like Mike are now involved in this, John Mangini, and they're here to test if Legends Never Die, if that theme holds true. You see, they worked with Dustin and Don, and I think the most important place to actually be is in the Misfits. And what Dustin is showing by breaking trend and saying that he wants to be in the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame after last year's fake news of John and Dustin fighting, I think he is really saying, I am here for my initiation into the Misfits. And then they used a little trickery to get Don into the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame, but make no mistake, this serves two purposes in the new world order of sports cards on YouTube. It's to get new people into Misfits in the secret cabal that actually rules the entire YouTube Sports Cards Hall of Fame. And I think that's what we're now seeing, starting to become into the light, to be exposed. Actually, I'm just kidding. I'm just making all that up. I actually think the whole thing is great and hilarious. And quite honestly, if I have a vote, and I don't know if I will at that point, I think both should be in. And if I don't have a vote, still my opinion. And then I won't vote. I'll just have an opinion. So anyway, I love it. I think it's hilarious. I am going to thoroughly enjoy seeing the closeout of the year, especially when baseball ends, to see any sort of drama. And very happy to see that John, Mike, Don, the Misfits, and Dustin are all doing this fun thing together, and not being in the cabal, because there's not a cabal. There's not There's no cabal. Just kidding. Yeah. All right. So anyway, hey, you guys have a good one and enjoy the videos. If you haven't watched John's Mangini's call to get Dustin into the Sports Card Hall of Fame, that's a funny commercial. It's only about a minute long. And then watch Dustin's as well. It's hilarious. That's Sports Card Dad. Very great stuff. So thanks, guys. Little over my time. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a great weekend. See ya. Bye.